Hey guys, it's Lewis from Aspiring Gent, and I want to welcome you to the new headquarters. This is the new place that I have been working on to try and get more video content out to you guys, build my business, and overall just be more productive. So today I want to swing right back into the YouTube tutorials on how to do tapering of your sweatpants. Yes, we've all... Your sweatpants. Yes, we've all been locked in, we've been cooped up, and I've been wearing these things probably more than I normally would. And I wanted to show you guys how you can make them more fashion forward, add a few little tips and tricks on doing this kind of fabric alteration. So let's get right to trying it on, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So here we are with the pants on. As you can see, they're a little bit baggy, but the length isn't too bad. A little bit dusty from the shop. But what we want to do is we want to be able to make these nice and tapered, kind of more of that athletic fit, not so baggy, something that I would actually maybe wear out. So these are, again, a very old pair of sweatpants, but what my goal is to slim them down and show you how to add like an elastic bottom for that nice tight fit around ankle. So here we are with the sweatpants laid out, and as you saw with them on me, it didn't need too much more work to get it. Is find what I want the bottom hem to be and taper it up throughout the body. Now, if this is your first time doing a tapering job, it might make sense to add some pins to the point in which you want it to finish at, just so that you don't have to do any of this guessing in your terms, but because I know my measurements pretty well, I'm just going to go ahead and start measuring. So we are here at a 9-inch, which you double that, that's 18-inch bottom, which is going to be way too big for me. I'm going to want to bring it down to about a 6, to be a 12-inch bottom, or 5, depending on how tight you want it to be. These are still a little bit stretchy, so I think 5.5 is going to be the perfect mark. So that means we need to take in about 3.5 on both seams, so that's 1.5 on the double on each seam. So what we're going to do now is go over to the machine, taper it down, and then we'll show you what's next.
So what you're seeing here is just a time lapse of me taking in the 1.5 inches on both seams. I took the pinned the end down so I knew that the hem would end up at the same spot. Started at 1.5 inches and then gradually lessened that amount as I got higher up into where I taper it back into the pants. Now when it comes to doing the inside, it's a continuous seam all the way from one opening to the other. So I didn't stop that, I just continued, and then at the bottom of the crotch, I just took in about 1 inch instead of doing the full 3 inches that I needed to take in, and just went straight through with one long seam.
So here we have our pants sewn to where we need them. All we want to do now, and you don't have to do this if you're not taking in as much as me, is I'm going to cut off this excess material because this is going to add extra bulk in the leg that's going to make it a little bit tighter than I want. So I'm just going to grab my shears. I'm actually going to cut it this way. And we're just going to cut it off so that there's about 3/4 to 1/2 inch on the edge. Mark this 3/4, 1/2 inch if you have to. You don't have to just go at it like I am. But if you feel confident, just take some scissors, chop it off. Now, unfortunately, in my shop, I do not have my serger set up yet. But what you can do is you can either take this with a serger and it'll cut off the fabric for you, or another option is you can always take it on your just home sewing machine or any machine that does a zigzag stitch. And that will also be able to keep all this fabric from fraying. So one side. There we go. Now, you want to do that on both sides, and then you're going to take your socks that you do not want any longer. Now, luckily I had these ones which had a little bit of black and some gray in it. You can do contrasting on purpose. You can do all kinds of things to make this work. But what you're going to continue on next with is we're just going to cut along this so we have enough room to sew. So let me see this. So here's the elastic part, this little 4-inch section down at the bottom. We want to go up enough so that we have a nice little cuff at the bottom. You can either do it where you just sew this straight on, or I'm going to add this kind of grayish part. So I want to take that and I want to go about 1/2 inch up for my seam allowance so I can sew it onto the pant and I'm not shortening this too much. So let's just go right here. Now we're going to take this over to the machine, attach this sock to the bottom of my pant leg, then we're going to be able to try it on.
So now for putting this bottom sock at the hem, I'm going to actually slide it in. I'm putting it on the inside so that the rough side, like the seams, are showing on the outside. That way, when I pull it out, all of the seams are in and you have a nice continuous seamless look to the outside. And I'm also lowering it down a little bit because that end piece is going to add about 3 inches to the length, which will make the sweatpants too long. So I will end up cutting the bottom of the pants.
You got your pants tapered, you got some nice elastic at the bottom. You've completely remade your sweatpants, so that way you can kind of change up your quarantine outfits and no one has to know the difference. Some tips and takeaways from this project would be using a thicker, like winter weight sock is definitely ideal. Some dress socks might not work as well unless you're working with a matching type of fabric sweatpants. Also, make sure that you have a serger or a zigzag stitch to finish off your edges and give everything a nice clean press. That way you know that everything's going to look good when you're done. But I'm super happy with these projects, and hopefully this is something to help keep you busy during your time at home. This is Lewis from Aspiring Gent, and thank you again for watching. If you'd like to see a tour of the new studio, please let me know. If you have any questions, message me at any of my other social media platforms or text me. You know you can text me. But thank you guys for being here for sure. Hope you liked this. If you did, like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff. But till next time, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.